Durk is facing new charges in an alleged murder-for-hire plot targeting a rival rapper. The 32-year-old Chicago rapper, whose real name is Durk Banks, is accused of paying 5 hitmen to kill Quando Rondo in Los Angeles back in 2022. Rondo survived, but his cousin was killed. This new indictment adds 2 additional felony charges against Banks. It also makes Banks the lead defendant in this case. Banks faces life in prison if convicted.
Get ready for this one, because today we're taking a deep dive into a case that's really shaking things up in the music industry. We're talking about Lil Durk, the Chicago rapper who just won a Grammy for his song All My Life with J. Cole. But behind all the awards and success, there's this whole other story brewing. A legal situation that just keeps getting more complicated. To get to the bottom of it, we're diving into some recent articles from CBS Chicago. Trust me, it's a wild one. This case pulls back the curtain on the music industry, exposing a dark side of violence and complicated relationships that fuel these conflicts. It's not just about celebrity gossip. This is about real-world consequences, a tragic loss of life, and a legal battle that could have a huge impact. For anyone who might not be totally caught up, we're talking about some pretty serious allegations against Lil Durk, including a possible murder-for-hire plot.
Covering some other news that has just come to our attention. This is according to the FBI. I want to pull up a tweet that we have as well. So Grammy award-winning Chicago rapper Lil Durk has been charged in a superseding indictment alleging murder-for-hire plot to kill a rival near the Beverly Center shopping mall in Los Angeles in August of 2022. So of course we do know that Lil Durk has been behind bars, I should say, for some time now. This is all having to do with he's accused of hiring to kill rival rapper Quando Rondo. This is, again, back in August of 2022. So to bring in now to have just a bit more conversation about this alleged murder-for-hire plot, let's bring in Megan Cuniff. She is our legal affairs journalist. Megan, thank you so much for being with us here on Live Now. Again, we just got this update today, 2 new charges in this federal case. What are your thoughts initially as you saw that update come out?
Really nothing new in the indictment. This is just the feds getting ready for him to come back to Los Angeles and giving him co-defendants in the indictment. He was arrested on a complaint, so it would be totally standard for them to then go and seek a grand jury indictment. And actually, his co-defendants were arrested on a grand jury indictment a few weeks ago, but the indictment actually didn't name Lil Durk. He was arrested afterwards. So this is them basically combining the case and tightening up the charges, tightening up the case as they prepare for the arraignment here.
To understand how we got here, we need to rewind to 2022 and remember the shooting targeting rapper Quando Rondo in Los Angeles. Rondo escaped without any injuries, but his cousin, Savia Robinson, tragically didn't make it. At first, it seemed like an isolated incident, but as investigators dug deeper, things took a really dark turn. They started uncovering what they believe was a planned attack orchestrated by Lil Durk. That's right, a planned attack, not just random violence, possibly stemming from a long-standing feud. This feud could be retaliation for the death of another Chicago rapper, King Von, who was a close friend of Lil Durk's and part of his Only the Family collective. King Von was killed in a shooting back in 2020 in Atlanta. So, Lil Durk's friend is killed, and now he's suspected of organizing a hit in revenge. That's what the investigation is suggesting. The alleged details are pretty chilling. Court documents indicate that Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks, allegedly put a bounty on Quando Rondo. Authorities allege that when word got out that Quando Rondo was at a hotel in Los Angeles, things started moving toward that fateful day in August 2022.
And again, this one is interesting because there are also 6 other defendants in this case as well. And on social media, the case and just the conversation about this stems back to November of 2020. This is when one of the other people on his record label, I should say rapper King Von, was killed. This is after he got into a fight with Quando Rondo. So this case that's as it's coming out, we're learning more details, has been in the works for a long time because, again, the original issue stemmed from 4 years ago now at this point.
Yes, this was a long time coming, and you can tell there was a really long investigation into this. And just based on the indictment, the surveillance images that the federal prosecutors have released, it sounds like they have built quite a case here, and they're definitely ready for it to be in court.
So I do want to read off some additional charges that we do know that the FBI has now charged Lil Durk with. This is 1 count of conspiracy, 1 count of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death, 1 count of using, carrying, and discharging firearms and a machine gun, and possession of such firearms, furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death. So we should also note that in this case, it wasn't actually the rapper Quando Rondo who was injured. It was a friend of his who was shot and killed in this as well. So when you're talking about the implications of this and going forward with these charges, do you see where he's going to end up with the federal government in this case? Obviously, we do know Young Thug just beat some of his charges in his case, but that was a state case. This is a completely different ballgame here.
Yeah, and Young Thug didn't beat his charges. He actually pleaded guilty and no contest and is now on probation for 15 years. So I don't think, and if he violates it, he's going to go to prison for 20. So I don't think we're going to see a plea deal, probation plea deal, and it wasn't a plea deal, it was an open plea. But I don't think we're going to see a plea like that in this case. We could see this go to trial, but I am experienced with one of the prosecutors in particular. I've covered trials that he's done, prison murder trials, other things like that. So he's very experienced in cases like this. So if they want to try to take this to trial, I'm sure the prosecutors would be happy to try it. If they want any kind of plea agreement just based on the charges, I think they're looking at a hefty amount of time in prison. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of defense they get. We haven't seen a big offensive defense from him yet, but that could be coming.
According to the indictment, 5 individuals linked to Lil Durk's OTF collective flew from Chicago to Los Angeles. They met up with another associate there and then basically went on a shopping spree for everything needed to carry out a hit: ski masks, luxury sedans to blend in with the LA scene, and even a converted automatic weapon. They were serious. Authorities believe they started tracking Rondo and his cousin as they moved around LA, following them from a marijuana dispensary to a clothing store and finally to a gas station across from the Beverly Center. That's where the alleged ambush went down. They allegedly blocked Rondo's Cadillac Escalade with their own vehicles. Then, 3 individuals jumped out and opened fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets, 18 shots in total. Rondo managed to escape unharmed, but tragically, his cousin Savia Robinson, who was standing outside the vehicle, was killed. Their intended target got away, but an innocent life was lost in the process. It's a very unfortunate situation. Now, Lil Durk is facing serious legal trouble. He's already been in trouble before, and now this new indictment names him as the lead defendant in this alleged murder-for-hire plot, alongside the 5 individuals believed to be directly involved. If convicted on all counts, he could potentially face life in prison. That's huge. He's facing charges of conspiracy, using interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death, and a whole list of firearm-related charges. This case is far from over, and there's a lot more to dive into. We need to look at the potential motivations behind this alleged attack, especially the possible connection to King Von's death and the larger context of violence within the rap scene. It's not just about Lil Durk, it's about artist safety, potential gang connections, and a whole lot more.
And lastly, before I let you go, Megan, I get another interesting piece of this case. The federal government did say that Lil Durk tried to flee before being arrested, buying several plane tickets to international locations. Do you think that that will play a role when it comes down to this case heading to trial potentially, and what his sentence could be overall?
I think that will definitely matter if he tries to get any kind of bail situation. The prosecutors are going to be pointing to that outright. Whether that will matter if he is convicted at sentencing, I think that the charges by themselves will stand alone, but that trying to flee like that or having tickets like that does not bode well for him getting out pre-trial at all.
Absolutely. So again, legal affairs journalist Megan Cuniff here to break down just what we know at this point there in this Lil Durk case. Of course, we'll be checking in as we learn more information. I appreciate you being with us here on Live Now.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're seeing two completely different sides of Lil Durk. On one hand, you have the Grammy-winning artist known for his introspective lyrics and collaborations with big names like J. Cole. But then there's this whole dark side, this undercurrent of violence, these allegations that paint a very different picture. It's a real reminder that things aren't always what they seem, especially in the music industry. It makes you wonder how much of an artist's persona is real and how much is just a carefully constructed image. This case brings up a lot of questions about the culture in certain parts of the music industry, where violence is often glamorized and even seen as something to be proud of. The possible retaliation angle suggests those complicated and often violent dynamics that can exist between rival groups in the music scene. Even if the charges don't mention gang affiliation, the deeper, more dangerous affiliations could be at play here. As more information comes out, it's up to us to process it carefully and responsibly. We need to think critically, question what we see and hear in the media, and dig deeper into the issues at play. This case is a reflection of bigger societal problems, and it's through careful consideration and open discussion that we can start addressing those problems. Thank you to all our listeners for joining us today as we explored this complex case. We'll keep following the developments and let you know what happens. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.